Kedsley.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and we would like to congratulate George Hawkins on his sale of liquor, Objections to Applications Amendment Bill. Congratulations, George. This is a tremendously worthwhile bill which will give communities some say over where liquor licences should be granted in their communities, and we will certainly be voting to support this bill. I remember when I was a Wellington City Councillor, and this was back in the 90s, and it's a long time ago, yeah. And somebody decided to set up a bar right next to a school in Strathmore. And it was right next to a whole lot of where people lived, and a school, and a very, very densely populated residential area. And the whole community was totally opposed. Nobody wanted this bar, which was going to have gambling machines in it, to be established at this particular location. So the entire community came together. It was the biggest meeting probably ever held in the history of Strathmore. The whole community rallied around and passed a resolution: we don't want this liquor outlet in our community, located right next to a school, right next to our community, right next to a church. In the end, despite the whole community being unanimously opposed to this liquor outlet, there was nothing that the community could do. They realised after many years, or many months of trying to stop this liquor outlet with the help of myself and other councillors, that basically we were completely powerless. That the Liquor Act, the 1989 Liquor Act, had basically relaxed conditions for obtaining a liquor licence to such a point that you could basically set up a liquor licence anywhere in New Zealand, and the community was completely powerless. And indeed, there was a submitter on one of these bills when it was being considered, the first reading, and they said it had got to the point in New Zealand where all you need to get a liquor licence to sell alcohol is a car park and a urinal, and away you go, you can sell alcohol, and the local community has virtually no say, no input into it. So I was horrified by that personal experience, and I wondered why would this Parliament have allowed this to happen? Why would this Parliament have allowed liquor outlets to be established in just about any community in New Zealand and relax conditions to such a point that the communities had absolutely no say in whether that liquor licence, whether that bar, whether that liquor outlet was going to be set up right next to a school, right next to a church, right next to communities. What was Parliament thinking in 1989 when they passed this legislation, the Sale of Liquor Act, and allowed this to happen? It was, of course, the same piece of legislation which allowed supermarkets to sell liquor in any supermarket in New Zealand, and now dairy, and so now supermarkets have ended up selling 70% of alcohol in New Zealand. So this legislation, and I guess there are members of this Parliament who were here and who voted for the Sale of Liquor Act, it liberalised the sale of liquor to such an extent that we have this proliferation of liquor outlets all over New Zealand. And it was very, very interesting in the Health Select Committee a few years ago. The Public Health Association made a submission, and they'd done a map of New Zealand, and they showed where was the most dense number of liquor outlets in New Zealand, and it was in the low-income, the poor areas of Auckland, but all over New Zealand. Everywhere, in every low-income area, there was a vastly increased number of liquor outlets, of liquor stores, of fast food outlets, of gambling outlets. It was completely predatory. You could see that the people setting up these liquor stores and gambling outlets were literally targeting the low-income areas of New Zealand, whereas the areas like Remuera and so forth had very few outlets at all. So it is completely predatory. So we congratulate George Hawkins for this bill, which will give communities a say in alcohol licensing decisions. It is very, very long overdue, and it will mean that there will have to be a social impact. And the people of Strathmore, for example, who rallied around all those years ago, helplessly trying to stop the liquor outlet there, once this bill is through, they would be able to have an impact. They would be able to say, we believe this will have a disastrous impact on our community, and we oppose it. It's interesting, no doubt the reason that this bill, this sale of liquor bill went through, which so liberalised alcohol, the sale of alcohol in New Zealand, no doubt it was the influence of the liquor industry and the hospitality industry which resulted in such an extraordinary liberalisation in New Zealand, and the taking away of the rights of communities to have a say in where liquor outlets should be. And I guess that we can see, we are seeing now the same influence of the liquor industry and the hospitality industry on the debate about what to do about liquor legislation in New Zealand. We've had the Law Commission report, very far-reaching report, and immediately the government has decided that it will back away from the critical areas that Sir Geoffrey Palmer has said will deal with the issue, namely the issue of price, namely the issue of marketing, sponsorship and advertising. Why would the government be ducking for cover over those issues? Why would it refuse to deal with those issues when it has been told that these are the most significant issues that will have an impact on liquor in New Zealand? And we all know, everyone in this House knows, it is because of the power of vested interests. It is because of the power of the liquor industry and the hospitality industry and the food industry. And those industries will have more say and more sway over this Parliament and what it agrees to than all of the submissions by all of the people in New Zealand and the overwhelming support. People in New Zealand are clamouring. They're saying this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for this Parliament to get it right, to clamp down on the proliferation of liquor all over New Zealand, on the absolute saturation, marketing, sponsorship and advertising of liquor. We've got this opportunity, and that's what the people of New Zealand are clamouring for. Unfortunately, the ghastly reality is that the influence of the lobby of the liquor industry and the hospitality industry will stop this government, will cause this government to fail to take the action that is needed because it doesn't want to get offside with the hospitality and liquor industries. That's why we have the problem that we have today, and I fear that their influence will prevent us from taking any comprehensive set of policies as the Law Commission has recommended. Last night on Close-Up, I don't know how many people saw, but Bruce Robertson was talking about, they were having a discussion about why the government would not lower the blood alcohol level. And they pointed out, we had an expert from Australia saying it was an embarrassment, and it was quite simply, he said, the power of the liquor industry and the hospitality industry. That's why it wasn't happening. And then they pointed out that Bruce Robertson had actually said on his website, the reason this wasn't happening, he said, it's because of the lobbying by the hospitality industry and the liquor industry. So they admit it. They admit it. They admit that their lobbying is preventing the government from taking the action that is needed, and I think that is a tragedy. So, George, congratulations. It's a fantastic bill. We will be supporting it, and we just wish that the Law Commission's report, the very comprehensive Law Commission's report, would be being implemented by this Parliament, and that we would finally start to undo the harm that the 1989 Sale of Liquor Act basically unleashed here in New Zealand.